Yep, folks, stick a fork in it. It is done. The liberal world order is crashing down as we speak. We're going to take a look at precisely how Russia and Roe are combining to crush liberal globalism and why both together promise nothing less than a new conservative age rising from leftist ruins. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, I am your Patriot Professor, helping you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And gang, while liberals are up late at night fretting over the collapse of their woke world, you can get the best sleep of your life by clicking on that link below and getting your own My Pillow. Our good friend Mike Lindell is offering us his best prices ever with my code Turley. So now you can get your own classic My Pillow, which is normally $69.98 for just $19.98. And that applies to over 200 products in their catalog. So don't wait. Click on that link below. Get one for yourself. Get another for the patriots in your life. Let's support our good friend, our fellow patriot, Mike Lindell, and let's get the best sleep of our lives, all as liberals are losing theirs. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We are witnessing, in my view, we are witnessing history in the making. There's just no two ways about it. We are in the midst of one of the single most significant sea changes ever to occur in political and economic history, perhaps the most significant alteration to the world order, I mean, at least since World War I. And two events more than any other punctuate this tectonic shift. Russia's invasion of Ukraine on the one hand, and the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade on the other. Simply stated, Russia and Roe are changing the world like we never imagined possible, literally just months ago. So let me unpack this for you in terms of what's the real significance of Russia and Roe. Many of you have heard that the region of Lugansk, which was one of the two breakaway republics in eastern Ukraine in the Donbass region, that region is now officially entirely under the control of Russian allied forces. Ukrainian forces have collapsed in that part of the Donbass, as has the legacy media's ridiculous narrative that Ukrainian forces were winning and Russia was losing. We on this channel have consistently argued from the very beginning that Russia's in full control over the military theater in Ukraine, and it was only a matter of time before the entire Donbass region fell into Russian allied hands, which Lugansk has now officially done. No amount of sanctions, no amount of weapons, no amount of check writing with your money, $40 billion worth, was ever going to change that fact. But the Biden administration continues to be as clueless as ever. I don't know how many of you caught the Biden administration official saying the quiet part out loud last week. National Economic Council Director Brian Deese was on CNN, and he was asked directly, what do you say to those families that simply can't afford to pay these outrageous gas prices? What do you say to families that are struggling to fill their tanks? And here was his bombshell response.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
This is about the future of the liberal world order. That's what's bankrupting you right now. He said the quiet part out loud. As far as the Biden administration is concerned, as well as rhinos, by the way, like Mitch McConnell and Eye Patch McCain, this is all ultimately about defending the liberal world order from total implosion. So that's why you're paying $5 a gallon at the pumps. That's why you're paying for $100 tank fills. So it's so that Biden and the neocons can defend, quote, the future of the liberal world order. I mean, it sounds a lot like they've been reading Francis Fukuyama, who in many respects is the godfather of the liberal world order, at least its most prominent theorist. I'll get the words out there. He's been sounding the alarm of light, saying that Russia is indeed crushing the liberal order and that we need to rise up and protect it. Now, what, pray tell, is this liberal world order, you may ask? This order that's forcing us to go bankrupt at the pump? In a nutshell, the liberal world order is a one-size-fits-all political and economic system, and that's key here. Liberal globalism, which is just another term for liberal world order, Liberal globalism isn't so much a culture or civilization as much as it's a system. It's a political and economic system that's made up of things like democratically elected governments, at least for the most part, right? At least, don't tell Saudi Arabia that, but nevertheless. So democratically elected governments, corporate capitalism, and then here's the kicker. This is huge. Human rights replacing all religions. That's what's liberal about the liberal world order. Proponents of liberal globalism believe that all the peoples of the planet have to be liberated from their tyrannical governments and gods through democracy, corporate capitalism, and woke human values. And while this world order is held together by a coalition of powers, primarily Western powers in Davos and DC and Brussels and Wall Street, nevertheless, this liberal world order has been called America's religion. It's been touted as nothing less than an almost messianic mission for America and bring the salvation of democracy, corporate capitalism, and woke values to the world. The problem, of course, is that this liberal world order is increasingly being recognized by the rest of the world as nothing less than Western imperialism. It is the peculiar creation of a Western civilization that is not so much liberating the rest of the world, but instead is shoving their system down their throats. It's no coincidence whenever this liberal world order needs to be defended, it's always Western powers that arrogate to themselves that sole prerogative to do just that. And so increasingly the world sees the liberal world order really as nothing more than a ruse, a Trojan horse, as it were, for kind of modern Western imperialism. And so, in their own unique attempt at ridding themselves once and for all of this liberal order, President Putin and the whole of Russia are in the process of completely dislodging the totality of their political, economic, and cultural life away from the liberal globalist order and recalibrating Russian society and culture around the notion of something called a civilization state, which in effect is the building of its own self-contained, self-sufficient life world. Russia is leaving the globalist world order and building its own world, its own parallel world with its own parallel economy, its own parallel currency, its own parallel arts and entertainment, its own parallel internet structure and telecommunications, its own parallel sports leagues, space travel, you name it. And as part of this parallel world, Russia's neighbors, Belarus, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and yes, we can add now the territories of eastern Ukraine into the mix. They are all satellites, as it were, of this new Russian world. And Russia appears to be currently joined in this civilization state-building project by none other than China. China, too, is building its own world, its own self-contained, self-sufficient life world that is joining together with Russia in an alliance between two grand civilizations, working together to undermine the current liberal globalist world. However, it's not just the remaking of the geopolitical order. Remember, the liberal world order isn't just geopolitical politics and economics. What else is it? What are we leaving out? Remember? It's also about imposing woke liberal values on the rest of the world. Democracy, corporate capitalism, and woke liberal values. And this is where the Roe reversal comes in. But first, we obviously cannot say everything that needs to be said about, shall we say, politically correct, sensitive issues on most social media platforms. And so that's why you need to become a Turley Talks Insiders Club member. Every Monday night, we have a live Q&A with yours truly, as well as some very special guests like Mike Lindell and Andy No and others. And you get to ask us your questions. We talk about everything and anything without any worry of cancel culture. So make sure to click on that link below and sign up to be an Insiders Club member for less than the price of a cup of coffee per day. And I can't wait to see you live on Monday nights. All right, more and more pundits are recognizing that the end of Roe means nothing less than the end of liberalism. No, not a sudden cataclysmic end, but rather a formal end or a foundational end. In other words, as I pointed out in our video on the fall of Roe that day, The reversal in many ways cuts the head off liberalism, precisely because liberalism is based on a highly secularized notion of what's called the sovereign individual or the autonomous individual, right? A sovereign, autonomous individual is one who has no moral obligations apart from that which he or she chooses for themselves. Sovereign individuals have no obligation to family, to religion, to community, no obligation to nation, culture, custom, inheritance, tradition. To the extent that any of these institutions impose moral obligations on sovereign individuals, these institutions are by definition oppressive and are therefore legitimate targets for liberation. And so in the grand scheme of the sovereign individual, the family, which traditionally, of course, was the bedrock of human civilization, the family is redefined as merely just another lifestyle choice and nothing more. And the key to lifestyle choices is just that. Lifestyle choices exercise no moral obligations apart from that which a sovereign individual chooses to impose upon his or herself. And so in a modern liberal world, marriage, well, it's nothing more than just another social contract. And that's it. It's just a contract. It has no civilizational ramification whatsoever. And you know why? It's because the liberal world order replaces civilization with a system, a massive one-size-fits-all political, economic, and woke system that's superimposed on all nations, cultures, customs, and traditions. You see, it's absolutely essential that we understand how all these things are interconnected. And so what the Roe reversal did was that it, in effect, now frees all the red states to re-legislate the family as an institution that has a right to impose moral obligations on others. You are not a secularized, autonomous individual. You are part of a nation, culture, custom, and family tradition to which you have moral obligations. The astonishing significance of the Roe reversal for reversing secular liberalism is, at this point, almost inconceivable. And more with each passing day, liberals are starting to come to terms with it. And so take heart. Russia and Roe are unraveling the globalist liberal order like never before, at both a geopolitical level as well as a domestic moral level. Secular liberalism is collapsing, and a new, truly conservative age is at hand. Now, before you go, you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on more leftists than ever threatening to leave our country. We couldn't ask for a greater gift this 4th of July season. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.